it's come to be. So I was just saying that one of the biggest winners of this election is actually our president, Uhuru Kenyatta. He ran 5 years without an opposition, and he's been able to deliver on his promise of Uhuru Totano Tena. You know, when they started, it was kumi yangu, kumi ya Ruto. Ruto has his kumi. The president has run the country without acrimony through the handshake. So he's one of the luckiest presidents in history that you know, some of his intentions have come to be. And I imagine he'll be telling people that the people told me that we were right in the first instance by saying this man, you know, would actually make a great leader. That's what politicians do. But anyway, I want to make a few quick points about Ruto. And I think he is a politician that, in a way, has not been fully analyzed and fully understood. And I think he somehow used that to his advantage. Of course, it was in broad daylight, but people couldn't see. This guy actually dismantled Moi and Nyaism from the Rift Valley when he was not even DP. And that's something that we've not been able to understand fully. In this election, he becomes the first politician ever to convince an ethnic group against their own leader and wipe the rug, you know, from their feet. And he was able to convince the Kikuyu, let me just use that on air, that he was more of them than Kenyatta. And how did he do that? He did that through the hustler narrative, to say, I am your real relative. Yes. The sitting president and Railas and so on, those guys are dynasties, they're not like you. And he was able to push that very, very successfully. He is actually amongst the very first politicians to be in government and convince the whole country that he's in the opposition. And one of the things that we've said was that I think for those who advise our politicians and so on, I think intellectual content in our politics, you know, should increase. If you look at the electoral cycles of the US, it is very, very difficult for one party to do 3 terms. It's very, very difficult. People are normally tired of the parties in office, and they send them home. We see the cycles. A party, Democrats either do 1 term or 2 terms. It's very rare that a party would do 3 terms. So that's the burden of incumbency. And that is something that the president-elect used very, very well to say, look here, I'm not part of the incumbency. Because if he was part of the incumbency, there would be probabilities that you know, you would have lost. Kenyans would have been tired of that government. But then he was able to convince Kenyans that the other guys who are not in government were actually the incumbents. And Kenyans believed him. I think we are looking forward to a salesman par excellence. I think DP is a guy who can actually sell ice to the Eskimos. This country, of course, needs a salesman, definitely. There are very good things about it. And as Dr. Caroline Moses said here, you know, we also want to harness some of these beautiful attributes that him and the deputy president Rigathi projected. They projected themselves as, you know, individuals of very, very serious work ethic. And despite my political persuasion, I actually do appreciate people who do very good work ethic. And shifting from the president himself, whom we know wakes up very early, you know, does what he said he would do, very hands-on and so on. But even his running mate, at some point were involved in some project, and this project wasn't moving as it should have moved. And we're told that, you know what you guys need? You need a DC or a DO. Those guys get things done. Yeah, so I think these guys get things done index, you know, was actually very, very good. But having said that, I think it is now that the analysts like ourselves, the armchair critics, you know, the fans will be sitting and starting to marvel at, you know, this political and historical phenomenon that has actually been unfolding before our eyes and you couldn't see.
I mean,